Let's talk about mouse conventions. By knowing a few simple rules, you will be able to better understand how to learn the various drawing and editing tools in Dynarscape. First rule of thumb is there's no dragging allowed in Dynarscape except for on toolboxes. Dragging basically means holding your left mouse button down while you're trying to drag or move something around. The only place you can use that is when you're moving around a toolbox or trying to resize a toolbox. There's no other place that you can use the dragging method in Dynarscape. It's always left click and let go. Knowing the difference between the left and the right mouse button will also help you learn the various drawing and editing tools in Dynarscape. And knowing when to use them is the critical part and what they're used for. The left mouse button is always used to select objects or locations on your drawing page. This could also include selecting tools. So you're always going to be left-clicking on objects that you want to pick up, left-clicking on locations on the screen where you want to put things. That's what the left mouse button is used for. The right mouse button, on the other hand, is used to end a process within a series of steps. Some tools, like the Move tool, require several steps. And you need to tell Dynarscape when you're ready to move on to the next step. No accuracy is required with the right mouse button. All you need to do is click your right mouse button anywhere on the screen to end the process. Knowing the difference between these two will help you understand how to use the various drawing and editing tools as you learn Dynarscape design. A good example to show when to use the left or the right mouse button is when using the Move tool. The Move tool first requires that you select objects, so you use your left mouse button to select them. When I'm done selecting them, I got to tell Dynarscape that I'm done, so I right-click. Now it wants me to pick it up from somewhere, so I need to left-click somewhere in here to be. I have to left-click to pick it up. Once I left-click, they all get attached to my crosshairs and I can move them around. Now it wants me to place them somewhere, so I'll left-click again. So I'm left-clicking accurately on objects or locations, and I'm right-clicking once I'm done the selecting part to tell Dynarscape that I'm done selecting. I need to move on to the next step. It's also important to know how to properly manage your Dynarscape design files as you're doing your drawings. You want to save them. You want to save them in a safe location. There are 3 main rules that you need to know about saving Dynarscape drawings. Number 1 rule is never save your drawings to the Dynarscape design installation folder. The design installation folder is basically found under C, Program Files, Dynarscape, Design, and then the various installation folders will be found there. If you were to save your drawings to this location and then uninstall Dynarscape Design for whatever reason, you would lose all of your drawings that you saved there. Dynarscape, when you install it, adds a new folder called My Drawings under My Documents. That's a safe place to store your drawings. That will never get removed during an uninstallation. Second rule is never save to a memory stick or to a portable storage device, even to a network or over a network. The reason is they're not necessarily always stable, and if you were to save a drawing there and have some sort of a interruption, the drawing file could get corrupted and you could lose all your work. The best way to do this is save it locally and then copy to your memory stick, storage device, or over to your network. The last rule is keep your file name short. Dynarscape has a 128 character limit. That includes all the folders that your drawing is stored in. So if you've got it stored under My Documents, My Drawings, you'll have a file path that'll be C, Documents and Settings, Computer Name, My Drawings, and then whatever folders you add there, those are all included in that file path. So keep the file names short and reduce the number of folders that your drawings are placed in so that you don't reach that or go beyond that 128 character limit. Dynarscape will not allow you to save anything that's over 128 characters, so it'll actually tell you if the file path has exceeded that limit. It's also important to know the position of the buttons on the toggle bar. The toggle bar basically is this bottom row of buttons here. The first 5 open and close toolboxes. The next 3 are probably the most critical as far as using them while drawing or editing. in that you need to remember the position of them, whether they're on or off, or what the settings are at. We're going to go through these a fair bit. We're not going to go into detail right now. We're going to talk about them a lot as we're going through the different drawing and editing tools. So you got to remember or to look up at this toggle bar to know the position of these toggles. The next four should generally be kept on. So on meaning that they're white with the red letters, off means gray with black letters. So these four should be kept on. Limit basically turns the boundary of your drawing on or off so you don't see it. Ends is a button that probably should never touch. It basically just closes or leaves the end of a thicker line that's thicker than 0 line weight open or closed. Fill is generally kept on unless you want to have thick lines that are just surrounded by a thin line as opposed to being filled solid. And origin basically turns on this origin at the bottom of the screen. So these should always be left on. These ones be left on or off depending on what you're trying to do. And keep your eye on these as you're working so you know where they're at. Knowing the proper way to insert values into the modifiers will help you learn to use Dynascape efficiently. What I'm talking about is the modifiers that open up when you select a tool. For example, the line tool will open up a modifier, a box that allows you to put in values for length and angle. Generally, angle is not used. Angle is usually determined by the constraints, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But for entering length, there are several rules to remember. If you wish to enter feet, and you're in a standard Dynascape prototype using the imperial scales like 1/8 or 1/4. To enter length just using feet, you only have to type in the value and hit enter or spacebar. Both will set the value that you've entered and automatically convert it to feet and inches. If you wish to use just inches, you need to insert the inch symbol after the value, and that will convert it to whatever it's supposed to be. If you want to insert feet and inches, you can do it two different ways. You can do feet and then use a decimal and 5. 5 will convert that to inches, will be half a foot, so it'll be 2'6". Or you can type in 2, use the foot symbol, and add the value 6. You don't need to insert the inch symbol because it knows once you've inserted the foot symbol, it knows that the next value is going to be inches. All you need to do is hit spacebar or enter, and it will add the inch symbol to that. If you wish to use or add fractions of an inch to a value, you do it this way. Type in your inches, and if you're using inches, you don't need to use the inch symbol. All you need to use is a hyphen, and then whatever fraction you wish to use. If it's half an inch, you go 1/2, and it will know when you hit enter or spacebar that you want to insert a 2.5 inch value. So entering fractions, you can be as accurate as you like. Beside each area where you can insert a value, there's also a calculator. And the best example would be in the edit toolbox for the scale or resize tool. The resize tool has a scale value box plus an X and a Y scale value box. Generally how this is used is if you want to rescale something to a certain value and you need to make a calculation to determine that value, you can click on this calculator to do your calculations. Say my value is 45 divided by 12. Click equals, will give me that value of 3.75. Click enter. It will automatically enter that value into the X and Y coordinates so that I can rescale or resize the object by that value.